Let's keep all of that. Okay, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning. Okay, let's call the meeting to order for July 28th, 2026. It's 10 a.m. in the Polk County Regional Health Building, Suite A, Livingston, Texas. At this time, if you would, please turn off or mute all your cell phones and devices. And we would like to ask Michael Battenfield of Southern Baptist Church to lead us in prayer.
Our great and glorious God, Creator and Savior, I thank you for the grace you've shown our nation, our state, our county, and particularly our county judge and commissioners who are here today to conduct the very governmental duties you brought them here to do. Lord, you know the needs of this county better than any one of us here today. And that's why I pray specifically for your wisdom as this body addresses the needs of this county, that all decisions be made and business engaged to be directed with integrity, humility, honesty, with concern for all the residents and entities of Polk County. Lord, we recognize that all authority ultimately exists under your hand and your rule. Remind us all that we are here to serve and that this Commissioner's Court's as servants of the citizens. May any and all decisions be taken to benefit the families, churches, businesses, schools, first responders, and all who depend on the actions of this body. I pray, Lord, that this body not be bogged down with divisiveness, rhetoric, but instead be united under your direction in a way that brings honor and glory in what is right and good to your holy name, even if it's not the easy decision. And I pray all of this in the wonderful name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Madam Clerk?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the city of Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, public comments.
Yes, ma'am, we have four. Richard Burr, Carolyn Bishop, Robert Carew, and M. Jackson.
Thank you.
If you go first, does it matter?
Okay, Mr. Burr, would you like to step forward?
Richard Burr, I've spoken with you all before, last meeting in fact. I'm here to support the grant of for the Public Defender Office and to ask that you all take no action today on rescinding that grant back. The letter from the judge is explaining their change of mind. It's quite revealing to me. Only one thing in that letter has changed since they were supportive of the grant, and that is local lawyers don't want the Public Defender Office. That's the only thing that's changed. And that can be addressed. I'm a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for 50 years. I have never represented people in a criminal case other than a capital case. I've spent my entire career doing that. But I have served as a public defender in Florida. And I understand how public defenders work. And public defenders can complement and supplement and make better private bar members who are appointed to represent people, because the standard of practice is raised generally by a public defender office, because that's all they do. They have no conflicts of interest with private clients, and that's what they do. So here's what my suggestion. And I don't know if anybody outside this room will hear this, but it's really directed to judicial judges and to lawyers in this town, and particularly to Joe Roth and Lenore Shukan, whom I know and whom I know to be really good people. What we need is a coming together and an airing of problems and differences and concerns, and a recognition that the representation of indigent people in this county can be better. That's what we need to do. We need to come together. We need to stop being at war with one another and find some middle ground where people who are poor facing criminal charges can be best served. That's what needs to be done. That's what this commissioner's court recognized, and that's what the judges recognized until the local lawyers whom they appoint said, we're not going to help anymore if you do this. They essentially have said, we're going on strike. If this office fails and you need to appoint us again, we're not going to take appointments. And that, of course, every judge is concerned about that because they have to have lawyers representing poor people facing criminal charges. So I ask that you defer action on rescinding the grant back, give time for some conciliatory process to take place. Members of this commission could help that take place. I would be willing to help that take place if anybody would want me to. And let's see if we can find some common ground. It's a time where common ground is hard to find these days, but I've seen common ground reached in this body far better than the bodies above this body. So let's set an example. Let's do that. Let's urge the judges and the lawyers to get together. One or more of us can serve as, mediators, conciliators, and let's give it a chance. That's my request.
Thank you. Carolyn Bischoff?
Good morning, Judge Murphy and Commissioners of the Court. I am Carolyn Bischoff, a resident in Precinct 2. I am here today to express my disappointment and frustration that the county is preparing to vote on returning the grant for the Public Defender's Office. I sat in this same court 9 months ago to show my support for the decision to accept the grant from the Texas Indigent Defense Commission. I was proud that it was recognized that the poor in our county deserve better representation and due process in a more timely manner than it has occurred in the past. So here I am today wondering what has changed. It is my understanding that with a staff of 4 lawyers and 2 staff members in the Public Defender's Office, they could handle almost half of the county's indigent caseload. Would that not mean an improvement for the neighbors in our county to have their cases processed quicker? And would that not mean that those in jail could get back to the job that provides food and housing for their family? The fact of the matter is there is generational poverty in Polk County. We all know it. I've heard the stories of grateful families who receive free clothing in Onalaska today, who were taken there as children themselves. I know the same is true from families who month after month go to our food pantries in Livingston. Is it wonderful that those resources are there? Yes. But my issue is still why families continue to need them. In my opinion, the same is true with the Public Defender's Office. We agree that the poor legally deserve free counsel to represent them in their cases. But do we really see who they are? I think that the word indigent to some brings to mind the man or woman who's homeless and wandering the streets. And yes, that is true. But for me, and according to the law, an indigent person is extremely poor and lacks money to pay for basic life needs. I'm here to ask why the lawyers and judges in our county appear to not want to allow a step up for those who are walking the thin line to survive as one of our neighbors. Could the lawyers and judges meet with the Texas Indigent Defense Commission to look at the option that was considered previously of a regional public defender's office, which should be less costly? If it's a matter of the public not appearing in more support of the office, what do you need from me or this county to show that support? If a petition would assist as an example of support, give us time to provide the lawyers, judges, and the court that proof of local support. Let's remember that those who may have been greatly impacted by the past legal representations and processes probably cannot be here to make public comments. They're working during a weekday morning meeting. I am requesting that this item be tabled so that the matter can be openly discussed and the decision, well-reasoned and rational decision, and not one made hastily and without public input. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Robert Pruitt.
Bear
Good
with me.
morning, Mr. Pruitt. You're good.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Robert Pruitt. I'm here about the repairs to my fence that Guyleen Robertson refuses to answer any phone calls. I have been directed to Judge Murphy, who is supposedly the one that issues the repairs for my fence. I have had the runaround from day one. They have told me that she was in Commissioner's Court every day that I would go there, no matter what time of day it was. Then they tell me the Commissioner's Court is held on every Monday. And after a little research, because I know nothing about this stuff, I find out it's the second Tuesday and fourth Tuesday of every month. All I want is my fence repaired. And then the last thing I heard was, well, we gotta find out if we have enough money in the budget. I don't care about the budget. Y'all tore up my personal property and I want it fixed. And I would really, really like if you would learn to return a phone call. Do you have anything to say about that?
We cannot respond. We cannot respond or have a discussion. You're more than welcome to make an appointment to visit with her.
I have tried that, but she will not talk to me or anything.
Yes, sir.
And it's not correct, and please do call, but that's all I know, we can't respond.
Well, we certainly, if you will provide the information to Becky, right out here on your way out, then we will we'll get you coordinated so that you can have a
Because this
conversation.
happened at the end of April.
Yes, sir. I
And
understand.
it's not a large section of fence, it's just a small section. And the man that tore it down, Quentin, I believe his name is, on the maintainer, he admitted he done it. And he said we can fix it with some cattle panel. I told him that's fine for a temporary fix, to keep my dog from going out. I've got a regular chain link fence, now I've got a 6-foot panel sticking about there with T-posts, and it looks like crap.
Yes, sir. So if you could get with Becky, she will make sure that she coordinates with the commissioner's office. Okay?
And
Make
Becky
sure
is
she
for-
has your contact information, your phone number, address, email if you have it,
So where do I find her?
right through that door.
Through that door.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Jackson.
Judge Murphy.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, I want to say good morning. I'm here on behalf of tabling the money to be sent back for the judicial system. And point in fact, in 2012, you had a judge named Elizabeth Copeland. That was the judge during that time, and how she fed information to the public, to the attorney, regarding a trial that was mischaracter of justice of a young man. That's a prime example why we need it, because if that young man hadn't had that attorney that was fighting for him for a public defender, this young man could have faced life in prison. My second point, in fact, is a young man named, that was in 2012. My other person name is Corey Watt. He was arrested in 2025 as a co-conspirator to murder, a robbery, and aggravated assault. This young man was not even there. He was at home. He allowed someone to use his cell phone, and that's the charges that they gave him. His co-conspirators was tried within 3 months and sentenced. This young man have been sitting in prison since 2025 and had court dates to come up 3 times, and each one of them, they push him back because he was not able to afford an attorney. And it's totally a travesty to have someone that's a judge in the criminal justice system to not allow someone to have equal protection under the law. and to have services like that. I know and heard about each one of you guys. I see your last name. I've heard honest things about you, and I'm quite sure you will make the right decision that will serve the people of Polk County that's underserved. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chuck. Okay, informational reports. Does anyone have any informational report? Very well. All of us received a copy of the email requesting some basic information. Let's see. Okay, it should be up here in front of you. So the questions that we were asked about the Public Defender's Office was the question which they've already asked was what changed between the county's October 25 acceptance and the judge's recommendation. And that is that the three judges signed a letter withdrawing their support. Have the judges met with TIDC since the award to discuss their concerns and possible revisions? If not, why not? We set up several meetings, but we do not know whether or not the individual judges set anything up with TIDC. That would be a question for their offices. Question number 3 was what other options did the judges weigh before recommending the county return the grant? Did they consider a smaller office, a managed assigned counsel program, or a revised plan? We did not receive any kind of contact about anything along those lines. Number 4, what problems did local stakeholders identify with the current appointed counsel system, and are they solved? The concerns were that appointed attorneys were not visiting their people in jail. The sheriff's office is providing transport to the judicial center, and so hours of time had to be used guarding and transporting defendants, and it was putting our CJIS grant monies at risk due to lack of timeliness. Number 5 was, would a 2-week delay affect a grant deadline or create any cost? If not, why vote today? There's a deadline from TIDC on setting up the program, and so TIDC asked us to go ahead and move forward to return the funds. I'm sure if we contacted them, if the judges are interested, then it's up to TIDC. It's not up to this body. Number 6, Polk County reported $725,296 in indigent defense costs in 2023, which is the latest year on their data site. The grant funded plan in year 1, Polk County would have paid $190,152. In year 2, Polk County would have paid $350,760, and then it would move from there. Years 3, we would have paid 60%, 4 80%, and by year 5, you pay the entire amount. A regional public defender's office would be a 33.33 split with other counties in perpetuity, with the state paying the rest of it. And have any grant funds been received or spent? What would unwinding the award cost? Nothing has been spent, and the cost would just basically be our time. Did recruitment difficulties, office space, or long-term cost drive the recommendation? Did officials ask TIDC whether help was available? Office space was available. TIDC offered assistance with recruitment of attorneys and with office management, along with board member recruitment. Question number 9 was, did officials examine the regional office option that TIDC recommended before deciding to return the money? San Jacinto County was on board and planned to join after we got it started. That would have dropped the long-term cost. Judge Wells, Judge Kitchens, Judge Brown, Judge Faulkner, and Judge Martin all received information, including the regional program. Trinity County declined at that time, but is interested, but they declined because they were dealing with a jail bond issue. Question number 10, if commissioners reject this plan, how will the county address the representation quality concerns that surfaced during the state's review? That would be entirely up to the 2 district judges in the county court at law. They would just need to decide how to address it. And then the last question was, will returning an accepted grant affect Polk County's eligibility for future state funding? We do not know. They renew these grants from time to time. One of the ways that it operates is what we do is the court will approve. If we receive a grant information, then we disseminate it to those entities or those elected officials that would be impacted by the grant. And then they notify us if they're interested. And so this grant, we have sent to the elected officials pretty much every year, every time we receive information on the grant. And that's the same thing that happened here. And the information gets sent out. They respond whether or not they're interested, because this court can only allocate the budget. So each independently elected official makes those decisions for themselves. So once the information gets sent out, if they tell grants and contracts, yes, we are interested in procuring that grant, then the court approves the grant application, and then the court approves accepting the grant as well. But this court does not have the authority to tell another elected official how to operate their office or how to operate their program. Our concern is only the budgetary impact that other people's programs may or may not create. So we certainly appreciate everybody participating actively in the process, and we will go from there. Does anybody else have an information report? Someone bring a cowbell in.
That's your sign.
Okay. What's that? It's Tatum?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's okay. I can keep on going. Okay, Tatum, do you wish to do your tax calculation worksheet at this time? Huh? Okay.
What information would y'all like for me to go over?
What's that?
What information would y'all like for me to go over? for
That
us?
is up to you. You can either do your tax rate calculation worksheet, provide us with that information, because this is where the amount of money available will be made or considered. We know that things are gonna change along the way. Everybody on the court is aware of that, but just give us what you have at this time.
So based on the calculations provided with all the data received, the no new revenue rate came back at 0.595467, which if the county goes with that rate, then the rate would go down approximately 0.0032. The voter approval rate came back at 0.635125. And the de minimis rate came back at 0.621013, which if the court proceeds with that one, then the rate would go up 0.0224. And I can send y'all a copy of this one. This is just the preliminary one until we actually get all the figures and y'all have y'all's proposed rate.
Yes, ma'am, that'd be great. So if you could send us whatever you want us to distribute to the court, we'll do that.
I can do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. This gives us someplace to get started. Okay. Okay, information reports now. Patillo, Brown and Hill LLP, presentation of the audit for fiscal year September 30th, 2025. Copies of all the year-end audit documents were emailed to the commissioners on Monday. Bound copies are actually at your desks. You're welcome to come pick it up if you want it earlier. And a copy of that letter that accompanies the audit is included for your review. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Judge, and for allowing me to be at the court this morning to present the county's annual financial statement audit and the associated annual comprehensive financial report. This big document right here, which I'll be presenting as well. And these are the financials as of September 30th, 2025, the county's year end, kind of a snapshot of what the finances are looking like. Every year, counties, schools, cities, about everyone these days has to get an annual audit, a financial statement audit from an outside independent firm like myself, from Patillo, Brown and Hill out of Waco. And we're happy to say, just to go ahead and cut to the chase, a clean opinion once again after doing our auditing procedures. The procedures we have to do over the set of books here, there's a good amount of them we have to do to ensure that they're reliable by outside parties. We're not looking at every dollar, not looking at every cent or transaction. It's ultimately do all the numbers in here, all the disclosures, all the information, paint an accurate picture of the county's dealings this past year. And we're happy to say that they do. Just like you'll have to follow rules with compliance, both in reporting, payroll, purchasing, everything, we have to follow rules too with auditing, and by following those auditing standards, we're happy to say that there was no issues, no question costs, no disagreements with management. The official letter, it's kind of a lengthy one, on page 1 through 3, this is the official opinion letter. All this is really saying is the set of books are reliable and we can provide reasonable assurance that they are. The official word is unmodified opinion, but it's a clean opinion. There's a couple of other, they're not technically opinions, but it's more like letters we provide to the county. Those will be in your single audit report. Not only are we interested in, are the sets of books here, are the assets, liabilities, revenues, expenditures, are those accurate? We're also required to look at the checks and balances, the internal controls that put this information together. Is there a good system in place that can put out, accurate information regularly rather than just once a year, right? Easy for one time a year, snapshot, have good sets of books. That's one thing, but internal control over financial reporting, we do extensive testing on that, talking to various county offices, and we're happy to say that from the testing we did, strong internal controls related to financial reporting into the county's spending money. Before I go into some financial highlights here in the report, I mentioned a couple of pages. Starting on page 4, I'm not going to go into this right now, but pages 4 through 10, this is for some reading later. This is kind of the executive summary of the year, the management's discussion and analysis. Just want to highlight that. I think it kind of summarizes the county's dealings in a single year pretty well. Move on over to the budget and then talk about the grant funding lastly, I suppose. I'm turning the hymnal over to 47 and 48, pages 47. This is the general fund for the county as of September 30th, 2025. I want to just point out a few numbers here. Just want to again reiterate that these specific numbers we're looking at here have been audited and looked at extensively by our firm. And as we can see, all the revenues came in better than was budgeted. And at the top of page 47 there, $33 million of general fund revenue. And then in terms of the expenditures for all of the different functions and departments, general government, administration of justice, the health and human services, everyone came in under budget. So no overspending there. And at the end of the year, they'll added about a little shy of 3.9 million back to general fund. So shy of 21 million at year end. What we had been seeing going into this year and probably in FY24 as well is deficit budgets everywhere we go, seeing people adopt deficits. And looks like y'all, at the end of the final amended budget, we're anticipating some of that, but y'all came in better and added 3.9 million to general fund. The next page, page 49, it's a similar looking schedule. Road and Bridge Funds is another set of funds we look at pretty closely, since a lot of people, of course, are interested in these. And for all of the precincts combined, they added about $1 million in fund balance, while just like general fund anticipating a little bit of a deficit going into the year. So those are the chief funds. I think debt service fund is also healthy as well. Overall, it seems to be like the governmental funds are in a good spot, and the grant funds as well. Going to highlight something not actually in this ACFR Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. I should have a separate single audit report, and that's what I'll kind of highlight. Lastly, talked a little bit about the clean opinion, good set of books, a good system in place to produce accurate financials. The last piece we have to look at, and most intensively, is federal and state funding. The county continues to receive over $1 million from the state and over $1 million from the federal government, whether it's the courthouse, CDBG, stuff like that. And as the auditor, the county spends over $1 million. In one of those buckets, we have to do a very intense, narrow focus audit on that grant. I would say not at the level that the state does. This can get, I think, hairy, but we tested the CDBG funds with the flood buyout. No question costs, no issues there. It's pretty straightforward. And then the state funds, just like last year, with the courthouse restoration continuing to get spent through this fiscal year we audited. We looked at that state grant pretty in depth as well. And again, no findings, no question costs. We all are a low risk auditee from our point of view, and y'all were last year as well. So we thank y'all for that. It makes it easier on us. And not only are the set of books good and accurate, working with y'all is very easy. Working with Lewis and his team is a pleasure, and I'm happy to get to know you and learn more about the county this past couple of years. So really owe it to them and all the departments for doing the regular job and then having to put up with me for a few months. So I appreciate that. This is a really thick report. I only hit a couple of pages, but if there's any questions y'all may have on this report, what's in the audit, what are we not auditing, what's in that single audit report, I'm here for any questions y'all may have.
Don't worry, they have your phone number.
Was that?
Don't worry.
Right.
We have your
Yes.
phone number.
Yes. Oh yeah. Give me a call anytime. Don't need anything. Appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 2, S&P Global Ratings. We kept our AA- rating. It was affirmed for Polk County's outstanding debt obligation summary. So the long-term rating remains with a stable outlook to the county's proposed 1.650 Series 2026 tax notes, which we made requests for. At the same time, S&P affirmed that the county's existing AA long-term rating on outstanding obligation debt remains. So the notes proceeds will fund a generator for the county jail, technology equipment, and the prisoner transport bus. A copy of the report was included in your packet for your review. So related to that information, the S&P's key credit metrics show reserves and operating performance trending favorably over the past 3 years, not deteriorating. They describe the operating performance as consistently positive and the county's debt and liabilities profile as very low. The credit strengths that are cited by S&P were consistently balanced financial performance and sizable reserves, low debt burden relative to peers with similar population growth and economic expansion, and that our pension and OPEB costs are not viewed as a near-term credit pressure, reflecting a strong funding discipline and a net pension asset position in 2025. Factors that offset the rating is below average income and economic output relative to U.S. levels. Financial policies and practices are less formalized compared to higher rated peers. Physical climate risk, hurricanes, flooding, etc., is assessed as a moderately negative factor. And planned near-term use of general fund reserves to supplement grant proceeds for the ongoing courthouse renovation project. S&P does not expect this to materially affect the county's overall reserve position. So outlook is good. We're stable. We had the downside and upside scenarios. Downside is sustained deterioration in financial performance, which is hypothetical, leading to material reduction in reserves and liquidity. And the upside scenario, which is also hypothetical, would be sustained income, improvement in income metrics to levels that are comparable to higher rated peers. So that's the information with regards to our being able to borrow the money and S&P's rating. Okay, new business, consent agenda. You have an addendum on 4. Addendum number 1 in the amount of $21,800, and addendum number 2 in the amount of $171,092.05. Is there anything anyone wishes to pull off of the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Purvis. Second, Commissioner Robertson. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Was it Dubose?
Dubose.
Sorry about that. Commissioner Dubose. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, new business, regular agenda. Item number 17, consider approval of personnel matters as follows. Personal action form request submitted by department heads since the last meeting, a review of any authorized emergency hiring. We do not have any PAFs, and so certainly no emergency hires. Item number 18, consider request for revisions and amendments to the budget as follows. The FY 2026 budget revisions and amendments as presented by the County Auditor's Office. A copy of the proposed revisions number 2026-22 and amendments 2026-22A is included for your review. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second. Commissioner Cassidy, Commissioner Robertson, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 19. Discuss and consider awarding bid for construction of the Lake Livingston Building under General Land Office Contract number 24-065-044-E536. On July 15th, 2026, the county received construction bids from 5 contractors for the reference project. GLS makes the following award recommendations to the court. Award the base bid in the amount of $3,325,239 and an alternate bid in the amount of $294,000 to the lower bidder, which is Lilly Industrial Construction, LLC. Grant funds available for construction of the shelter of last resort equal $4,478,260. The proposed award is for $3,619,239, so grant funds remaining are in the amount of $859,021. Copies of the bid tabulation and GLS recommendation letter are included for your review. Does anyone need to speak on that, Susan?
Unless you all need more information, Robert and I are both here.
Sounds good. Okay, I need a motion.
Motion to go with GLS recommendation. Second.
Dubose, Purvis, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 20, discuss and consider approval to advertise annual bids, page 132 on your packet. Nicole Reeks has requested this agenda item to begin the process of annual bids for precinct road materials, bulk limestone, tires, oil, grease, gas, diesel, pest control services, motor grader blades, and material hauling. A copy of the bid packet is included for your review.
So moved. Second.
You don't, the other rest of it that I have is just a.
Yeah, we gotta have the bid.
Yes, yes, okay. Everything I have is just information as far as. Okay, motion to proceed. Commissioner Cassidy, second Commissioner Purvis. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 21, discuss and consider approval to advertise RFP number 2026-19 for pre-position contracts for disaster debris removal. Courtney Comstock requested this agenda item, and a copy of the bid package is included for your review. This RFP solicits proposals for pre-positioned standby disaster debris removal, reduction, disposal, and related services for Polk County and the cities of Corrigan, Goodrich, Livingston, Onalaska, and Seven Oaks under a single joint solicitation. The intent is to award a primary and a secondary contractor so adequate resources are available whenever the contract is activated following a hurricane, tornado, ice storm, flood, or other weather-related disaster. The key terms of it is that the contract period is for 2 years, effective October 5th, 2026, with an optional 12-month extension at the county's discretion. The procurement compliance is structured to meet procurement standards, so costs remain eligible for FEMA public assistance reimbursement. The scope of services includes emergency road clearance, right-of-way vegetation, and C&D debris removal, demolition removal, and non-structures, DMS management and reduction. The added provisions in this revision is its clarified cost evaluation methodology. Potential performance payment bonding requirement is tied to the event scope. Identification of 3 debris monitoring sites. Clarification that the Polk County landfill does not accept certain products, so the contractor is responsible for identifying and using approved outside recycling or disposal facilities at no additional cost to the county. And Title VI, non-discrimination notice to bidders. So she would like to advertise for that RFP and move forward. I'll second. Commissioner Purvis, Commissioner Robertson, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 22, consider approval to advertise bid number 2026-20 for renovations at 321 Beatty Avenue. Plans to renovate the building on Beatty Avenue for the county clerk's office and IT department are underway. Clifton Thomason has been assisting with the architectural plans needed to bid for the project. We met with both departments over there, and part of it is that this is an effort to relocate the county clerk's election equipment, which has been in lease storage for the duration of the courthouse restoration. The floor plan sets aside dedicated space for election equipment, storage, poll worker training, and vote tallying, with a separate area designated for the individuals that observe the counting process. The building's loading dock makes it a practical fit for both the clerk's election equipment and their voting process and the IT department's needs. It also provides sufficient room to accommodate the population growth Polk County is expected to see over the next 2 decades. I do have to say that Margie researched what the state's requirements were, what the state's recommendations were to ensure that we had enough space, that the voting would be able to tally, and that all voting equipment would be safe and in a managed area. And so, and all of that was based on state recommendations. We also looked at future growth in terms of IT. We realized that technology is not going to go away. It's just going to grow in scope and size. So basically what the committee would like to do and the county clerk would like to do is that we don't yet have a bid packet, but the building committee is requesting the court's authorization to proceed once the specs from Clifton Thomason are finalized and approved by the committee and county clerk and IT.
So is that question being asked once you get the specification and all that, then come back to court to bid?
Yes.
To bid at that? Okay.
Yes, we still have to do an RFP.
Okay.
So, but what we would like to do is go ahead and move forward since we're kind of in between.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Purvis, Commissioner Cassidy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 23, consider approval of road and bridge equipment lease purchase through the interlocal purchasing systems, TIPS, thereby satisfying competitive bidding requirements pursuant to East Texas Mac Sales LLC quotes for A, consider approval of road and bridge equipment lease purchase through the interlocal purchasing systems for sales Mac quotes for lease and purchase of 8 new 2027 Mack dump trucks with M-drive transmission dump ox body units at $180,040 each, with a 13-month trade allowance of $165,000 for each unit, assuming each trade-in unit meets all the trade terms to be paid from Road and Bridge Capital Leases Fund. Y'all are the commissioners, which
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Purvis, Commissioner Cassidy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. B, trade buyback 8 2026 Mack trucks at $160,000 each for units currently leased by each road and bridge precinct, assuming each trade-in meets all trade terms.
So moved.
I'll second.
Commissioner Cassidy, Commissioner Robertson, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C, approve resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Bank of Osk, OZK, related to the estimated August 2026 lease purchase of road and bridge equipment and new 2027 Mack granite cab and chassis units equipped with ox body dump bed to include trade-in of 8 2026 units, and authorizing the county judge to execute said agreement on behalf of the county. This resolution requires a record vote. So Commissioner Purvis,
Yes.
Precinct 2, Commissioner Dubus,
Yes.
Precinct 3,
Already did.
nope, sorry. I put you on
No, I did. And I-
1.
Yes.
Precinct 4,
Yes.
okay. Now we have now I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
I'll second.
Commissioner Purvis, Commissioner Robertson, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, number 24, discuss and consider approval of proposal from Southeast Texas Automotive Equipment, order number 3833, in the amount of $9,064 for repair of 2 vehicle lifts at the Polk County Maintenance Building to be paid from the maintenance capital outlays, repair replace buildings line item, which are budgeted funds. This quote included 4-year review from Southeast Texas Automotive Equipment, covers repairs to 2 vehicle lifts at the maintenance on Alley B. Lift number 1 is the model SPOA 9-200, a 2000 model that has adapter kits, rebuilt DPS cylinders, all the necessary pulleys, and flip up the adapters. Lift number 2 is a model SPO15 LCN 310, and it's a new power unit, rebuilt cylinders as well. Maintenance has requested that these repairs be paid from the capital outlet repair replace building line item, which has a remaining available balance of $114,767.88. I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Dubus, Commissioner Cassidy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 25, discuss and consider order establishing a procedure for the collection, sale, and use of proceeds from county recycling metals. The auditor's office recently received money from the sale of scrap metal. collected by the Polk County Jail inmate work crew, but wasn't sure what to do with it since there's no set process for it. County departments, offices, and the inmate crew regularly come across scrap metal in the course of their work. And any of them could run into the same question about how to handle it. To fix this going forward, we're asking the court to approve the order, which is included for your review, which sets up a simple, consistent process for the whole county to follow. They aren't the only department that has ever run into a similar issue. And so what would happen is when they collect it, it could be sold to a local metal recycler. The money would be turned into the county treasurer's office within 2 business days, and it would go into a specific fund, which would be the waste management fund, which is earmarked for recycling program cost and for community cleanup or collection events. And the department that sold the metal has to keep a receipt from the recycler and turn it in with the money so that there's a clear paper trail for the auditor's office. State law already allows counties to dispose of surplus or salvage property this way. So this order would simply put clear written procedure in place for everyone. So everyone follows the same process and the auditor doesn't have to juggle around figuring out what to do with it.
I'll make that motion.
Well, I had a question first.
Yes, sir.
So like, the recycle plant down here on 146, and we're very interested in keeping it open and working on that, keep it going. And any of this scrap metal that's sold, I know like for me, I would like to go for that while we're talking about this recycle deal. But if for some reason it doesn't stay open, then that money is going to be put into a waste management.
It's going to go into that fund, but it will be utilized, it's ours, okay, it's the county's. And so it would be utilized for a recycling program costs, or I'm sure that y'all are not gonna quit doing cleanups, and you're not gonna quit doing tire cleanups or large, events. And so basically, because it was generated by trash, it's going to go into a bucket that will help alleviate problems with trash. You're always gonna have someone that tosses out a sofa on the side of the road.
I think so.
Yes, I do. And we're not saying that this money is going to take care of that cost. We're just saying that this is a place where all those types of monies will be collected and we'll have a very clear paper trail. And then there's no question, about what went where. And this helps the auditor track it a whole lot easier.
So all the metals that we would collect on all of our stuff, so we're not gonna have to surplus it out, we can just.
Yeah, we can just haul our scrap metal now?
Yeah, is that what you?
Oh, now that's a question I do not.
I don't have an answer for that right this minute, because no one's brought it up to me.
This is just saying, the money's gotta go here.
Yeah.
That is
We'll
correct.
still have to surplus our scrap metal and go through the process and
I
all
think
to
you
get rid of
probably
it.
do.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I think you probably do.
Dang, I
We're just
thought
talking
y'all
about
was
things that
fixing to
got.
finally simplify something.
I think this is just for pickup or,
This is just where the money's
Yes.
gotta channel this away.
correct.
Okay.
I think I had a motion over there.
I still stand by it.
I need a second.
Second.
Commissioner Duvos, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 26, discuss and consider approval to authorize Republic Services operating as Sandtech Environmental of Texas to submit a permit modification application to the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality for the Polk County Regional Waste Management Facility, which is operating under Municipal Solid Waste Permit Number MSW-1384A at no cost to the county. So Polk County holds the permit for the Regional Waste Management Facility, which is located on 942 near Leggett. Republic Service is the contracted operator, has engaged civil and environmental consultants to prepare a permit modification application on the county's behalf. Commissioner Purvis, Commissioner Cassidy, and Carey all met to review. The proposed modification includes physical design changes to reduce the western footprint, establish a wider top deck, relocate the scale house and citizen drop-off stations, install a wheel wash station, improve the drainage system, and establish safer interim slope standards, as well as updates to the site operating plan and liner quality control plan. However, Commissioner's Court authorization is required prior to submission. Everything has been paid by Republic Services and there's no cost to the county. A copy of the cover letter and the modification application along with the presentation of the proposed modification is included for your review. We have people here from Republic if you'd like to ask them to come to the podium, answer any questions, or you've got two commissioners also that were included in the discussion.
I have no questions.
I have no questions to ask Republic, but I would like to say to the public, I know it was on the website, but when will we be accepting
Okay, we need to
large
let them go
items
ahead.
again? Yeah, you're gonna have to come up, please.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, they need to speak so that the public can hear them and so that video. Thank you, thanks for coming.
Morning, Judge.
Morning.
Morning. My name is Zach Peterson. I'm with the Public Service. This is Adam Mahavik, our engineering consultant in regards to the permit modification.
My one question was, when will we start accepting large items at the collection stations again?
So I believe we started the Wednesday that we met.
Oh, you started it?
Yes, sir.
Great.
So that has been going on for,
Sorry, yeah.
well, weeks are running together, but we've been doing it for 2 weeks, I believe.
Great, okay.
So we're back in
I
action.
knew it was on the website and everything, announcements and all that.
Yes, sir.
But just wanted to make sure that was brought forth here to an ask.
Y'all got them there, y'all wanna grill them over anything? Okay, I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion to approve.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you very much. All in favor, thank you. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 27, discuss and consider revisions to permit department and fire marshal fee schedules to be effective October 1, 2026 as follows. A, establish a permit fee schedule for food truck parks applying the same fee structure currently used for RV park developments. Tara makes this request. This change in our permit fee schedule due to the nature and intensity of use of food truck parks should be evaluated and permitted under the same standards comparable to those applied to RV parks for commercial development and commercial on-site sewage facility requirements, parking areas, and common use facilities that can generate significant wastewater and impact public health and safety. This Tara here. Come on down.
Good morning.
Good morning, Tara.
So really this is just to set up a guideline moving forward because those type of things are moving this way. And so to have a policy in place for them for when they get here, just trying to kind of beat it. So.
We are having more and more food truck pop-ups. The concern there is food, water, sewage, health and safety is really the concern.
So moved.
Commissioner Purvis, Commissioner Dubose, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, this next one is also as far as establish a $250 permit fee for minor equipment modifications, upgrades, and alterations to existing cell towers. Tara has also requested this addition to the permit fee schedule, which would establish a $250 permit fee for minor modification, upgrades, and alterations, including antenna replacement, equipment cabinet replacement, and generator installation or replacement that is separate from the county's new permit fee for construction or new communications tower. You wanna take that one?
Yeah, so like you said, we've been charging new, but none of the maintenance. So they submit all the stuff and they ask us to track it and we go through all this stuff, but we've not been charging for any part of the process for repairs.
for maintaining.
Why do we need a fee for them just to maintain it?
Yeah, well, anytime
Because
they,
she's having to go out there and make sure that they're maintaining.
you know, they asked us to keep up with the records and do all the things, but we haven't only been charging for the new.
We're having to commit staff to go out and review and make sure that things are still safe and compliant. And so what she wants to be able to do is that if they make modifications, then they need to be able to notify her for sure, but she shouldn't just go out there and find something that has no generator or has the tower.
And this is to the existing cell towers.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll just ask.
All of them.
I'll second.
Commissioner Dudas, Commissioner Robertson, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Tom. Okay, C, amend the fire marshal's office permit schedule to add a temporary vendor 10-day permit fee of $100 and to add wireless communication facility as a listed use under the $200 industrial facilities permit fee category. So really, that's two separate things. So the Polk County Fire Marshal has requested to amend the office permit fee for the temporary vendors, which would be all temporary vendors regardless of gas or electrical hookups needed. And then
That'd be like a food truck?
No, that would be if it could be a food truck, but also it could be like just someone that they have a little pop-up market.
That would be like trade days or nothing out here. They wouldn't be charging every one of them people a permit.
Well, the trade days is within the city limits, and so the city charges,
that.
yeah, they do that. And so basically what this is talking about, like if you have a temporary little temporary market that pops up that is in the unincorporated areas, then each one of those vendors would be asked to pay $100, regardless of what they might be selling or regardless of what they might be.
So to get unincorporated like it would be the city limits of Leggett or, I mean, et cetera, or any of the,
What's that now?
wouldn't be in any of the incorporated.
No, ma'am, we have no authority for the incorporated areas.
Okay, another question. What is a wireless communication facility? I mean, I don't, I mean,
That I do not know.
is that one of these towers or, I mean, I don't know. Where's our fire
The fire marshal is on vacation.
Cell tower,
That's what?
cell tower,
Is it a cell tower?
I believe so.
Hell, we done charge them.
That's
what
a,
TAR gives them a permit, why, I mean, that's what I'm asking. Why does he charge
Since
them?
it's talking about the temporary vendors, it could be some of these, like a fair or something, sometimes they have temporary, wireless.
communications, yeah.
That could be what it.
I'd like to table this one to the
Yeah, I
fire marshal
agree.
come back and
She
explain
knows a
it.
little bit about it back there.
TAR does? Well, that's somebody tells me, I
Hiding
don't know.
back there.
Well, I don't feel comfortable getting Tara to speak for another department.
Or Cherie, if she knows if she's back there. I don't know.
Cherie?
Yeah, somebody
She's
know
back
what it
there,
is.
she's back there hiding.
So it is a cell tower. So what they do is they submit plans.
Okay, you have to get up here and speak up.
Sorry. They submit plans to the fire marshal's office to build a cell tower within our unincorporated areas.
Yes, ma'am.
And then they go out and they get maintained. And some of them have like just a, I mean, I don't know what else. It's not it.
So we're charging them for 2 permits?
Yeah.
That's
what it
not make
looks like.
sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, the way I read it, I mean, person couldn't even set up and sell firewood on the side of the road, paying this.
That, and, yeah.
So
Let's table both of them.
Motion to table.
Motion to table from Commissioner Purvis, Commissioner Cassidy. Thanks, Shereen. All in
Thank you,
favor,
ma'am.
say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, let's get into our budget workshop.
Oh, boy.
Y'all need a break? Okay,
It won't take long. Go right ahead.
sure. You bet. Number 28, discuss and consider action to decline return the FY 2026 improvement grant. Grant number 21226C17, awarded by the Texas Indigent Defense Commission for establishment of a public defender's office based on the unanimous recommendation of the district judges and the County Court of Law Judge of Polk County, and to rescind the Commissioners Court resolution dated October 14th, 2025, accepting said grant. In October 2025, the Texas Indigent Defense Commission awarded Polk County an FY 2026 improvement grant in the amount of $760,607 for the establishment of a public defender's office, which the Commissioners Court accepted by resolution on October 14th. Subsequently, the district judges, 258th and 411th, and the judge of the County Court at Law submitted a written recommendation included for your review to Commissioners Court and this office stating their unanimous opposition to implementation of the proposed public defender's office at this time. They cited the following concerns. The program's costs would exceed the current indigent defense system beyond the first year, absent regional participation. The program would have only a marginal impact on jail population. There's a lack of public and local legal community support, and staffing the office is not seen as feasible given existing staffing challenges and related office. The judges recommend that the grant funds be returned to the state and that the public defender's office proposal be tabled. We can table it, but we cannot tell TIDC that we want to table it. We either have to accept it or reject it. We can't say we want you to table it and hold that money because they have other counties that would like to have it. The court needs to formally decline, return the grant funds to TIDC, rescind the October 14th, 2025 resolution accepting the award, and authorize the county judge to execute any documentation required by TIDC to de-obligate the grant, which is basically what we would be doing. We would de-obligate the monies because they do have other counties that would like to have it. So a draft resolution to return the grant funds is included for your review. So what is the court's pleasure?
Have they gave us a date that we needed to do this?
Well, we need to move forward with it. We had a deadline for getting it started. If we're gonna ask for an extension, if the judges wish to sit down with community members.
I mean, I didn't know if we tabled it for 2 weeks and we'll let the community go to the judges. We apparently y'all can see that they don't listen to us. So maybe y'all can go visit with them and see what y'all, come up with. I don't mind tabling it for 2 weeks.
I don't mind tabling as long as we're not gonna get in trouble by not.
Yeah, as long as the state don't say, hey, we want our money back now, I mean, I got no problem, but, I mean, it's not
Was it October?
really our decision. Our decision is just to accept it or give it back. The decision lies with the judges.
Carrie, was it October 1 that it had to be
I think
going?
that we had to have actual funding spent this
Yeah.
fiscal year, the state fiscal year, which ends at the end of September, which means we would have to get the program started and start spending money before the end of September. I think that is our deadline.
We can check and see what good y'all can do. We'll give you 2 weeks.
So the next meeting would be
up to me.
August 11th.
Yeah.
That's gonna be-
I mean, I don't know. I'll make a motion to table.
I agree.
Second.
Motion to table, Commissioner Fergus, Commissioner Cassidy. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Sorry, Tatum, I got ahead of myself. You were on my agenda. 29, receive tax assessor collectors 2026, no new revenue and voter approval tax rate calculations and verification of collection rate. Unfortunately, I got her to do that during information reports. So I do need a motion to approve what Tatum presented to the court.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Robertson, second Commissioner Dubus, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 30, consider any and all necessary action regarding public hearings on proposed tax rate and proposed FY 2026 budget. To propose a rate that exceeds the no new revenue rate, the court will need to take a record vote where each commissioner's vote is individually recorded to place at a special rate on the agenda for future meetings, which would be on April the 11th. It has to be a scheduled meeting. It cannot be a special meeting. So August the 11th is the deadline. Schedule a public hearing at that meeting on the proposed rate, because that's the last day to adopt a rate that exceeds the voter approval rate. Okay, we heard the rates that Tatum provided us with, and the, let's see, where's my new voter? Oh, here it is. The voter approval rate is 0.635125. If there's any intention of us going above the voter approval rate, then we need to know, but that gives you a goal. So keep in mind that that rate vacillates based on what the budget needs are.
So you need you need a record vote?
No, I just need to know if you all are proposing, we're gonna talk about the budget, we're gonna talk about what the market's compensation study came back. And so basically, like we did before with our compensation study, we're recommending that the court members take a close look at where that's coming in, right? And in some cases, we had some jobs that are pretty closely aligned, and in some cases, we do not. So if anybody thinks that we need to go above the voter approval rate, then that's one of the things that this office needs to know, so that we will know how to proceed. So we will go on, but be aware that at the August 11th meeting, decisions must be made. Okay. And that will be a recorded vote as well, a record vote. Okay, number 31, approve publication of proposed increases in salaries, allowances, and other expenses of elected county and precinct officers. A copy of the publication was provided to you. It has already been published, and we did not receive any, well, we're going to publish it, but it has already been provided to the elected officials, and we did not receive any grievance letters at this time. That was sent to them on June 24th, and the only increases reflected on elected officials were longevity milestones. That's the only thing. So I need a motion to publish. Commissioner Purvis, Commissioner Dubos, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, number 32, review compensation analysis and consider changes to the FY 2027 pay schedule. Okay, I can either fill in the holes, or we can ask the two experts to come forward and present it. I will tell you this, we followed a similar guidelines that we did before, and our recommendation to the court will be similar as well. First, every elected official submitted counties that they wanted us to look at and review. And so we did, and they were put into the comparators for them to look at. But then, of course, you have to come up with some guidelines on what makes sense for Polk County. For example, one of the counties submitted has the highest per capita number of millionaires in the state of Texas. We hardly compare to that. So then we went through and eliminated, and Carrie and James went through and looked at market placement. And so what we did was we looked at those groups that were within a 2-hour drive and had similar budgets, which means a similar tax base, right? And then we looked at those within a 2-hour drive that had budgets under 100 million. We're never going to be able to compete with some of those people that have a budget that is $350 million. We're never going to be able to compete with those, not at this time. We may eventually, at the rate we're going, but eventually we may. So all of you have an explanation. Now keep in mind that when you do this, when you do a market comparison, you are looking at the position, not at the person occupying that position right now. You're looking at the position. You have descriptions for the job. So in 10 years, it'll still be the same job. It will still have the same comparison. So that's the purpose of doing a market study. Okay.
Okay, so just to kind of bring everybody up to speed to understand the process we went through, there are 2 phases of how we did this study. The first, we used real market data everywhere it was reliable, and we'll explain that whole where reliable in just a second. Second, where the market data wasn't reliable or did not exist at all, which happened in quite a few cases, we built the placement from the ground up using the county's approved job description, and we'll kind of explain some of that here in just a second. Phase 1 involved establishing anchor positions for the market data, where the roles, the data for the roles gave us a clear defensible number. So it actually matched up job to job, responsibility to responsibility, and then we looked at salaries there. So that was where we had, that kind of data. We used the True Comp system and their benchmarking services to compare Polk County's current pay against the counties that we entered into it. And then we eliminated anybody that was roughly 2.5-hour drive from Livingston. From the list that remained, we narrowed it further to entities with a genuinely comparable budget size. So we removed Montgomery County because it has 10 times the budget of Polk County, and Jefferson County, which was, their budget is over 200 million. So in comparison, their rates are higher in the same job, but it's not a true comparison when you look at our budgets. For a position to count as an anchor, meaning we trusted the market number outright, we set a minimum bar of at least 6 comparative data points. In other words, 6 points, primary points in the job matched up in another county. So sometimes the titles are different. One is a deputy, one is an assistant, but the responsibilities lined up, okay? And that gave us a solid market-tested foundation to go from. Phase 2, we had to fill the gaps, and not every position could be reliably priced by the market. 2 things happened over and over and over that we saw. Some positions are unique to Polk County or rare enough regionally that almost no comparator counties reported data at all. Okay, the other positions had a market match, but the sample was too thin. It didn't meet that 6-point criteria. 1 or 2 things was the same, everything else was different. And we didn't feel that was enough information to build a real number from. Phase two involved filling in the gaps by reviewing job descriptions side by side for every one of the positions that didn't get the direct match. And some of the things specifically we looked for to compare them and match them were required certifications or licenses, whether the position carries real supervisory authority, and over how many people. That's a key point. You may be a supervisor of one person, and then we're comparing your title to that title in another county that has a 5-team member. There is a difference. Whether the role carries statutory or legal compliance responsibilities. Several positions turned out to be personally designated compliance officers under the state law. Some of the market data alone never would have shown us that. So that is something that we have to think about in compensation. If you are responsible for making sure that we're abiding by guidelines and not violating state, federal, there's compensation should be there for that. Budget and financial authority, who the position reports to, because in our county, some of them report to the commissioner's court. In other counties, they have a designated person that they report to, that person reports to the court. So we took that into consideration. A couple examples of what we dealt with. Our public records officer position priced very low in comparison to the pure market data, because most counties don't staff this with an individual. They break the responsibilities out over the departments. So there isn't a public records officer. So in comparing that data, we realized, first of all, that job does carry real legal exposure under the Texas Public Information Act. Regular contact with the Attorney General's office, and touches every department in the county. Okay, once we looked at the real duties, it was clear the market number didn't reflect the actual job in Polk County. So we placed it based on the responsibilities it genuinely carries. We use the same job description first approach to fix internal inconsistencies as well in the sheriff's office. Pricing each rank independently against the market actually scrambled up our department, because in most of the information we got, detectives outrank sergeants. In our system, sergeants supervise detectives. So we had to make those adjustments so as to make sure that we didn't lower somebody that actually in Polk County has a higher responsibility. Basically, this gives us a pay scale where every position, whether priced by the market or by the judgment of the committee, has a documented, defensible reason behind its placement. Nothing was set arbitrarily, and nothing was set just to match what somebody is currently making now. Any questions on that? Long drawn up way to say we did a lot of running around.
And furthermore, the public information officer, basically what that tells you is that other counties have not caught up.
No.
Because that is a statutory requirement now.
Yes.
So
Others are not
that
where
are
we are.
not compliant and did not move forward with that.
So, next step was to take the pay scale. Before we had done the court had approved across the board cost of living adjustments that were a flat dollar amount. Our pay scale was set up to where there was exactly 5% between each pay grade and 2.5% between each step on that pay scale. And so that had reduced where there was now less than 5% between pay groups, less than 2.5% between pay steps. So this scale puts it back on that trajectory that it was before. So you've got 5% between pay groups again, 2.5% between steps. We did not lower step one, the lowest pay group. It stays exactly where it's at. It's just recently gotten over $15 an hour. That should be the standard low minimum wage, and so we kept pay group 105, step one, right where it was at. From there, pay group 106 is 5% higher, pay group 107, 5% higher, so on. As you go through on this document, this takes those two comparisons that we looked at. Again, the counties that were within the 2-hour drive and similar budgets compared to the county that were within 2-hour drives and budget less than 100 million. Liberty County is factored into this second comparison. Also Alabama, no, sorry, they're not. The green lines that you see here are the ones that stayed right where they're at. There's no change in the step one of their pay group. Essentially, the market median that they found fell below that step, and since we were not lowering the pay scale anywhere, that step stayed where it was. The pink lines that you see, those are the ones where we did not have good comparative data. Either there were not sufficient comparators at all, or the ones that were there just, the positions didn't match what we had. So we just basically zeroed out all of those comparators and anchored them to the other positions that we had, the anchor positions that James explained. Highlighted the secretary position, secretary 1 and secretary 2 in yellow, because from everything that we could find when we were going through the data, it really seems like we should just have receptionist, secretary, and then office manager. Having 2 different levels for the secretary, it just creates more confusion than is necessary. So the recommendation was to leave it at the, well, take it, we currently have a secretary 1 at 107, secretary 2 at 108 or 109. This would put secretary at 108. And going on to the next page, you'll see there were positions that were currently below the, or already paid above the median market. The warrant clerk is one that was currently paid above the median market. So that is one where they would actually go from pay group 111 down to 109.
Okay, keep in mind that the movement on the pay grade doesn't mean that the person is going to lose money. We're not taking money away from anybody. Okay, nobody's losing pay. Anyone that is occupying that space is going to either stay there or move up. Okay, so that's why I'm saying separate the position from the person. We do not have any employees included in this that we are recommending a decrease in pay.
Yeah, but if that position becomes vacated, the first step on that pay group would be
Is
lower
where
than
they
it
will start,
currently is.
correct.
There are other situations with the court clerk, just 2 lines below that, where the median market in both directions was higher than what we're currently at. So that's just an example of how that happened. The blue lines that you have on here are all of the sheriff's positions. Those were the ones, we had several that were anchored, that were clearly, this is where the market defines that they should be. And then we used the sheriff's own internal ladder to determine where the other positions would be. So they're all just highlighted so that you can see which ones are the sheriff's positions and usually follow those. This does put the corrections officer and the telecommunications operator back on the same pay group, which would be pay group 112. So when we did the compensation study in 2018, that determined that the corrections officers and the telecommunications operators should be at the same level. At that time, both of those positions had to be brought up, but telecommunications had to be brought up higher. Happened again because of SB 22, where the telecommunications operators did not get a significant raise that the corrections officers did. Market data tells us those 2 positions are still relatively equal in the market and should be paid the same. So this brings them back up to where they should be.
Were they correct still, the 112 or 211?
So currently, the current pay grade is the one that you're seeing on the left-hand side, that's the
Okay, then they'll
211.
move- they'll
And it would be
they're
moving to a 112. That's the
Okay.
other thing that this does is it gets rid of the 200 level pay groups entirely.
Okay.
Gets us back to everybody being on a equal pay scale between 105 and 124.
Thank you.
Makes it easier for everybody that's looking at it, I promise.
And see, if you look on that next page, which is where Carrie's going, if you look at your telecommunications operators and like your human resource analysts, they are they're significantly underpaid, but part of what happened with telecommunications was SB 22. So, so they would go from a 111 to a 112.
Deputy for transport, what we were finding from the market is that a transport deputy is generally placed lower on the pay scale than a deputy patrol. So this does actually take the transport deputy from 215 to 114, but it takes the police patrol from 215 to 115. And it should be noted, again, because of the different pay groups, where they are currently, there's less than the 5% between pay group. This is taking it back to where there is 5% between pay group. So there are folks, especially as you get higher up on the pay scale now, that are gonna come down a couple in pay groups because everyone is moving up. And the whole scale is moving up, if that makes sense.
So what you're telling us is that if we give everybody a straight across the board raise again, we're gonna screw up here.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, it was good at the time, but in order to get everybody back to a consistent pay scale that is defensible, then yes, we should get a percentage across the board in the future.
We'll see.
There are several positions in here that I did highlight as the job is not currently in use. So you'll see those. We went ahead and placed them with where they are at with the market and with our internal structuring of where the job should be. But they just highlighted that they're not currently in use, so. Are there questions about this? I'll have you guys look through it. I do want to point out on the page that starts with the assistant to the commissioner. Assistant to Commissioner's Court, assistant to the commissioner, assistant to the sheriff. If you look at the market median for these three positions, you'll find that we're currently paying above the market in those positions if you're just looking at the titles. We know that those people that are filling those positions are often doing multiple jobs, have more compliance, liability, responsibilities that are put on them. The assistant to the sheriff, for example, has designated compliance officer roles, 2 distinct officer roles, supervisory scope, and statutory victim liaison duties. Those are not necessarily similar duties for other assistants to the sheriff in other communities. So this is where we used our internal, reviewing those job descriptions side by side and said this is the appropriate level for those positions, and just leaving them at 115 for all three. So, and I do want to say on these, when we plugged all of this in and just got everyone to the step in the appropriate pay group that is either where they're at now or slightly higher, it was going to cost $358,000 in just salaries to get everybody to the level where, the minimum level where they should be at. There are individuals where that takes them from, let's say, a step 7 to a step 5 because the pay scale has changed. So if there is funding available and we are able to keep those gaps that have already been established, then that is something that the court would want to come back to and see, if we're taking somebody from a step 7 to a step 4, what can we do to get them back closer to a step 7? Because they've been with the county longer, they've established, higher work performance, they've established their level on the pay scale where they are now. If they can, if that can be restored, that would be great. Right now, like I said, the $358,000 is what it would take. It's approximately $318,000 in wages for the general fund, and you could add about 20% on that for retirement, FICA and all of that. Yeah, and then, with the voter approval rate that was looked at from the tax rate calculations, we got that at the end of the day yesterday. And when that amount is plugged in, we have in the general fund a little over $700,000 that could be utilized to approve this compensation as it is now, plus a little extra. So if the court is willing to go with the voter approval rate, that actually does need to be voted on today. And that way we can get our notices for the public hearings and all of that and in time to have those public hearings on the 11th. But then we could come back between now and the 11th and see, are those additional steps or discretionary funds for different offices, what could be done with that balance of funds? We'll know exactly how much it would take to get this worked into the budget, and then how much would be left over.
I have a question, and I'm going off this.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm showing 2027 proposed changes.
Yes, sir.
So I'm assuming that's what we want to do.
Yes, that's what we're, that's if you all approve this pay scale change.
Okay.
And keep in mind, when we did this before, what we did is we did the market corrections, which I'm not surprised at all about our telecommunications officers, because that was one of the groups that in the past got left behind. And that was one of our concerns, one of the court's concern, is that with SB 22, they were gonna get left behind again. And so this corrects the 200 level, it gets everybody back. It creates the 2.5%, which is basically a COLA, and it creates the 5% gap in terms of whoever, different pay groups. One of the things that happened in the past is we had some employees that got promotions, but because of the way things were set up, they actually did not get a pay increase. They got the promotion, so they got more responsibility, they had more things that they had to do, but they didn't get any money to match it. And so we need to make sure that they do receive that, and that was prior to the last compensation study. So we need to make sure that we get this back leveled out. And again, it's based on the position. It's not based on the individual in that spot. Now, that's part of why you have a whole set of steps to follow that will allow you to compensate those people, you know, through discretionary funds or through raises and promotions. But first, we need to know if you all wish for us to continue. Now, what we did in the past is, and what Terry's referencing, is that one of the issues that especially the sheriff's department had was you had deputies that had not moved up in the pay scale, right? And then you had a new deputy come in, and so you had an experienced person making the same amount of money as an inexperienced person. And so we don't want to do that again. We don't want to repeat that. So if you approve the compensation study, then the next step will be to come back in and create gaps again, based on experience, based on longevity, to create those gaps between employees. If the bottom comes all the way up to match somebody, well then we move it up. But if you look at your pay scale, okay, if you look at the pay scale, we have a lot of employees that are in the, and I'm talking about the annual 20 grades, this one right here. We have a lot of our employees that are in the 112, 113, 114, 115 category. And so if you look at those, you can see that the 112 previously was making $41,941. And that lowest step number one, will move to $44,385. And that's based on the market study. We have some people whose pay is coming in just right, but we have some people that are coming in slightly low, some slightly above, but then we have some people that are coming in extremely low that need to be corrected.
Okay. I did some checking up and stuff, and I'm looking at the difference here, and let's just go to a correctional officer here. And the one I'm looking at, I don't know how long, I see what step they're in, and they've been 3 and so forth. But the base pay that we start out at is $44,430. If that's correct, is that correct?
That is step 211, step 1. Actually, right now, all of our corrections officers are approved to start at step 3. So,
Which is?
I don't have our current pay scale in front of me. So, all right, well.
46,406.
Thank you, sir. 46,406. Now that is based on 2,080 hours per year. The court approved last August, I believe, to actually change so that they're compensated based on the number of hours that they work. It's 2,184 hours a year if they work the 12-hour shifts. So the amounts that you see on here for the FY 2026 wages are actually built on the 2,184 hours per year. So the base pay right now for a corrections officer at step 3 is truly $48,485.
48,000.
And it would be
48,000 what?
48,485.
Now, why did they start at step 3? Why don't we just say step 1 starts at 48,
It was
485?
approved to start at step 3 because they were having so much trouble keeping those positions filled, filling them and keeping them filled. Now, with the market data, what we found with corrections officers is actually that we are currently paying above the market. Whether the data, we are working with the data that we have available through TrueComp. This is what all of the other counties or other entities provided for us to compare it to. And that data indicates that a corrections officer within 2 hours in similar budgets starts out at $42,973. So that's actually less than our $44,430. And even within 2 hours and under the $100 million budget, it started at $43,428. So even when you're looking at, we are currently on step 1, starting above the market. But because we have had those issues of filling those positions and keeping them filled, we are not recommending that we decrease that. We would keep that at the same level that it is now.
Well, I know, okay, I'm looking at that Tyler County.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Tyler County, and I know Cincinnati County, Trinity County pays this much or more than what Tyler County pays. And so, but I know like, our base salary, just for say, chief deputy, if I'm reading it right, $66,344. Is that correct?
This, for our chief deputy. That's not right, but I'd like to get there. Chief deputy sheriff, $66,344 is the first step, yes.
Okay.
That's the first step.
Okay, first step, right, so base pay.
Yes.
Yes.
And just like Tyler County, 67.
For their chief deputy?
But, yeah,
Okay,
the sergeant over at Tyler County is 59. Sergeant, that's the starting pay, and we're at 53,671, is that correct?
We're going with the market data for everybody.
I know, but when I look
Okay,
at
so
the
why?
difference here on the pay, some of them, $12, $38. So, my head, my math doesn't do that. It's not adding up right.
Okay, we did what you asked us to do. We got comparables from every elected official so we could compare. We are just telling you what the market data states. Now, the other thing is, let's talk about the chief deputy. This comes back and tells us that the chief deputy is underpaid. The chief deputy is underpaid by almost $6,000, according to the market data, with budgets that are $100 million. Okay, but the number still holds when you look at within 2 hours and similar budgets. And so that's what we're bringing to you. What we're bringing to you is a comparison with every county and telling you that we need to go up.
Where is the original Where's the original survey at?
I can give you the original survey.
I would
I'm
love to
happy
look at it.
Yeah, I would be
I
happy
think
to.
every one of us needs to look at it as
Yes, sir.
commissioners. We got to vote on this.
I
And
understand
I
that.
think we all need to look at it.
I wish it was nearly as easy to look at as what I am.
I'm
trying to
sure
do,
it's
but I would
not.
be more
I'm
than
sure
happy.
I'll
You
have to
know
have
what?
some help
Send it to everybody.
reading it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As far as when you look at the $12, and let me go back and see. Share. Okay. The $38 that you're referencing. I agree that I don't think that that is right. But what this does is it takes everybody to the appropriate pay grade, and then it puts them at the step that is at least higher than what they are currently making now. And it does, for the chief deputy, take them from a 222 step 6 to a 122 step 2, which is $38 raise. I don't think that that is appropriate, but we are trying to get to the minimum baseline, and that is what it would take, the $320,000 in salary. Then you could come back and say, where can we correct those gaps that were created? Because he shouldn't be lowered back down to step 2. He should stay at least 3 or 4 in order to get everybody a reasonable increase and not just $38.
So that would be the second step.
That would be the next step in this.
Right now, to get everybody moved to where the market value is, okay, where the minimum market is, that's what it's gonna take, 380,000. Then, depending on what tax rate come up with, depending on what tax rate, whatever money is available, then our recommendation is, then we come in and get those people off that are experienced and have been employed by the county, get them off that minimum rate and bring them up as well.
The average increase in pay in the sheriff's office does come up to, I believe, between $1,400 and $1,500.
So we can get the original survey, all that, and then study on it, look at it, and we would vote on this August 11th.
Yes, sir, we can do that. Well, I take that back. If we could meet on August the 4th,
We're gonna need
we would
to
have
do
to
August
do it on
4th.
August the 4th and get it approved then so that it's set. Regardless of whether this is voted on today, the proposed tax rate needs to be decided today so that it can be in the public notices that have to be published this weekend in order to be compliant with the August 11th adoption date.
And any of this, does it affect any retirement or anything here? None of this?
If anything, everybody's pay increases, so their retirement also increases.
Yeah, none of this has anything to do with retirement rates or tax rates or any of that stuff, so.
The courts already agreed they wanted to keep it at the 250% match, which is what the draft budget that's been presented to you shows.
Right, I knew.
It's 250%. So that wouldn't change. I'm happy to answer any other questions. I know it's a lot to look at. It has been a lot to look at for the last several weeks.
Yes.
It just, like I said,
Okay,
my
so,
math does not add up. to
so
this.
let me go through and tell you, who all we sent it to. This was in your packet. We sent it to the Alabama Coshada Tribe of Texas, Angelina County, Austin County, Bastrop County, Cherokee County, Grimes County, Hardin County, Jasper County, Jefferson County, Kendall County, Kirk County, Liberty County, the City of Livingston, Montgomery County, Nacogdoches County, Rusk County, San Jacinto County, the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, the Texas Department of Transportation, Tyler County, and Walker County. Those are all the comparables that were put in the study. All of them.
They're all the ones that we're losing people to too.
Yes, sir.
Well, not all of them. I mean, if we're losing people to Kendall County or Kerr County, it's because they're moving to the hill country because snow is
Yeah.
driving 10 hours a
Well,
day.
you know what I mean.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Exactly.
So
These are our-
that is what was in, and then we narrowed the list in stages. Anywhere there was more than a 2-hour drive from Livingston, which was Austin County, Bastrop County, Kendall County, and Kerr County, they were removed, because obviously if they're going that far, they're moving. And next, from what remained, we removed any entity with a budget that was over 100 million, which is far larger than us. And that was Jefferson County with a $200 million budget and a 0.357 tax rate. Montgomery County with a $500 million budget and a 0.377 tax rate. And then we came back, we removed the Alabama Tribe of Texas because we don't know their budget. And we removed Liberty County because it has an $85 million budget at a 0.48 tax rate. So that left the entities within 2 hours of Polk County that we can reasonably compete with on pay, which included Tyler County.
But in the comparison data here, this third column over here, that does include the Liberty County.
Yes.
Right. So when you talk about bringing it all on an even scale, and then taking the next step, is that this budget season?
Yes, sir.
Next
Yes, sir.
budget?
Yes, sir. So those ones that you're seeing that have a $11 increase or 38, that's what we're talking about. Those are the ones we're gonna need to go back and look and say, do we move them one step more? Or in the case of the chief deputy, does that need to be a 2-step more or 3? We wanna balance it, but we wanted to line the budget out so that it meets those gaps, and then we fix what we've got.
Get everybody to the market first.
Okay.
And then,
So if we move everybody to the market and say, hey, I feel like, deputies should get more money,
Move everybody to the market, and then based on what their placement is right now, today, then you add people to create those separation of experienced employees separated from new employees to create that gap again. And so people that are currently at step 3 are not gonna get less money. If that's where step 1 goes to, then that's the money they're going to get is step 1. But then we will come back and say, okay, this person was on step 3 or this person was on step 8, whatever, and make a recommendation that those people get bumped so that we're creating that gap again, which will now be a 2.5% gap minimum between them and the starters. So it will be every department and every elected official that will receive the benefit of that.
I understand the separation. I'm just curious about I don't wanna make a decision and say, hey, I'm coming back to fight, get these people more money. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I would say that $380,000 is getting people more money across the board. And then, depending on what y'all decide today, then we will move forward in terms of filling those gaps. But we can't do this and not know how much money we have or do not have. And we can't fill those gaps if you're not gonna tell us how much money we're gonna have to work with. That will be provided to everybody.
From what I'm understanding now, I'm not having a problem evening it out and then start
Well,
from
that's,
there. And that explains why my math wasn't adding up over here.
yes.
So I don't have a problem.
No, we wanna level the playing field with the market because we are competing with other entities, right, for employees. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to the market. In some cases, we're pretty close to the market based on the information that they gave us. And I wanna be very clear about that. Right, based on the information that they gave us and provided, then those are the decisions. Now, once we get everybody at market, then we will come back and say, okay, who needs to go up. We have some people here that are overcompensated according to the market, okay, by several $1,000s. Well, we don't need to move them up, right? We don't need to move them up, but we're not gonna take money away. They're gonna stay right there. Now, if there is let's pick on the deputies. If there is a deputy, an experienced deputy that ends up on step 1, but he or she was at step 3 or 4, then our recommendation is going to be that we come back and we add money to that particular employee. So at this point, right now, we're just making a market value assessment and saying, yes, we're gonna move forward with this, or no, we're not. Then we're gonna come back, and then we will start picking on employees. Then we will say that we recommend that this deputy, this clerk, this legal secretary, or legal secretaries show to be underpaid, that they receive the money to create that gap.
Well, I'm gonna recommend law enforcement jailers get more money off the bat regardless, so if I have to go through each individual and point them out, then I will, but.
We will do the same thing. What we did in the past was we said, okay, those people that had 5 years experience or more, then we bumped them up. Then we came back and said, okay, everybody that had 2 or more years experience, then we bumped them up. And so then you created that gap between the 2 and the 6, and you created that gap between the 1 and the 2. So that would be the process we bring, and then certainly the court can look and see what, and actually that should come from the elected official. The elected official for that department should be the one reviewing that information and saying yay or nay.
Essentially what you could do, once you have the first step approved and you know how much money you have left over, just divvy it out as discretionary and let the elected official give the steps back to who they would like to give them to.
So there's several ways to take it from this point forward.
But this levels the playing field, so it's easier to determine which direction we need to go in those departments that do need more money.
Okay, Sheriff. I'm assuming we're not gonna make any changes to the TRA contract to where we would be able to bring in, because that's $2,400 to $2,800 depending on how you decided to proceed. No change. Okay, then we will notify TRA that there's a potential increase in our budget reflecting these increases in salary. Okay. Thank you, and thank y'all for your hard work. Whew,
Thank you.
Lord knows,
Yes.
that's a lot of work.
Thank you very much.
So how do y'all wish to proceed?
Going off a percentage scale, it's kind of throwing me off now, because I'm used to the straight across the board raises stuff, you know what I mean?
Well, and that was a way for us to get past some of the COVID and the inflationary issues, you know, but it's time now to come back to a pay scale that reflects authority, that reflects responsibility, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a normal, it's based on a normal 2.5% COLA. And certainly we'll do whatever the court wishes, but this is at y'all's request, right?
Well, I'm used to just throwing the numbers out there. I mean, I did send in a recommendation and stuff and all too, but, I do recommend as far as, I don't know the percentage scale, but I had it based on just numbers and stuff, was, all patrol and deputies, $9,000 across the board. Jailers, 6,000. All admin and dispatchers, 3,000. Employees across the board, 3,000. Those are my recommendations.
So
Do you know how much that would cost?
you need way more than that.
Huh?
Do you know, I mean, based on how many employees, what that would cost?
No, I don't have my papers in front of me.
Well, nobody else will get raised. So,
What do you mean nobody else get raised? I said 3,000 across the board for all employees.
well, we need to do the math on it, because if you're gonna take 9,000, you're gonna take 6,000, and that's the largest department, you're talking about the greatest number of employees. Right there, so we're minimizing other employees, and we obviously have other employees that are not meeting the market at this point in time. So you have, basically, your animal control officer is right in line. Your corrections officers, we all know we want to bring them up. You've got your deputy sheriff patrol, the cadets, your kennel attendant is right in line. Telecommunications officers are showing that they're $4,000, slightly more under where they should be.
I've looked it over, and I can see we're still gonna lose officers to Livingston Police Department and other counties as well.
And you know what? Everybody is losing employees to other places as well. Your human resource analysts showing that they are 4,000 or more below. Your legal secretaries are showing that they are way below market. Your veterans service officers and your computer specialists are pretty much right in line. Your aging services director, assistant to the sheriff, which is a new position, a new change, that's showing that it's $7,000 too low. School resource officer, well, that's a new one for this time, but we put him in the same group with your deputy sheriffs. Your court coordinators, your detectives are showing that they're below market significantly. Your Crime Stoppers coordinator is below market. You got your foreman for road and bridge, they're below market. Our internal auditor that we just started is showing coming in below market. So you have several groups that are coming in below market.
And it's still giving them raises.
What's that?
I said, and it's still giving them raises.
Well, so basically what we're trying to do is level it out with the market and then fill in the gaps. And I do think that it would be best if the elected officials were the ones that filled in the gaps. Carrie is coming in under market. The fire marshal is coming in under market. Emergency management is coming in under market. Grants and contract is coming in way under market. Assistant to the county auditor is above. You have your captains and your captain patrols. At the sheriff's office, they're coming in under market. The jail administrator is coming in under market. Human resources director is coming in way under market. Your IT director is coming in way under market. So we have a lot of departments, and every department supports each other. So everyone has to be taken into consideration. So how would the court like for us to proceed?
So right now, we'd be voting on leveling this.
Yes, leveling the playing field.
And then move from there on wage increases.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because keep in mind also, the public defender's office is potentially, I mean, not at this point in time, but the public defender's office is potentially coming out of the budget as well. And so all of those costs will still be transferred to the taxpayers. So So there won't be a transition time to provide relief for the taxpayers. And at this time, we had Judge Kitchens notified us that he will be having 2 major murder trials coming up. We requested information from Judge Wells, but we have not received a response. And so that money has to be considered as well. Bobby Christopher requested that there be a line item budget for those large murder trials in case there was a change of venue requests or additional investigations or expert witnesses or anything like that. And so we started a separate budget line item for those cases. So we need to, that information is already in there though, and it's in this budget. So you also have, we put 10% in there for volunteer fire departments, which is typically what we have done to increase them. That certainly, if that's an area you'll want to look at, but that's not a significant amount of money to where it would have a major budget impact. So.
And I know you said this, but I asked just, and no leveling this off, no one takes a pay cut.
Nobody takes a cut and pay, no sir.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to level this off.
Okay.
And we start
Okay.
August the 4th.
To approve the market analysis and start implementing it.
And start implementing it.
So Commissioner Cassidy makes a motion.
I'll second.
Second, Commissioner Paris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very well, motion carries to implement the market study. And then you all can decide how you wish to proceed from there. Whether or not we just say, okay, here's some of the gaps, and then either the court or the elected officials, whoever, we can make a recommendation based on what we're looking at, but then it'll be up to the elected official to decide. So we can go from there. Okay, I know y'all all brought your budget book, right?
Yep.
Somewhere on here.
Let me go grab, hold on. Okay, it's past noon, do you want to take a break and reconvene?
It doesn't matter to me, either way. If someone has a preference, they need to speak up.
We can take a break and come back. Since it is noon.
Okay, I don't care, we can finish, I don't care.
Well, I'm asking.
We finished.
I don't know what you got on your plans here, but.
You don't know what I've got up there? You've got your agenda.
I won't ask.
Okay.
All we got left, review H in the department.
And we need to discuss how you'll wish to recycling, aging, and we need to go through our, let me go grab my budget book. My little tabs. Okay, start on page 35. The employee appreciation, the bottom of the page.
35.
Page 35, We left it in, we put it in there for 10,000.
Yep,
I'm assuming we wish to continue with that.
I do.
Okay.
I don't know about everybody else, I do.
Page 45. Grants, contracts, and purchasing. That has worked out really, really well, so we're not recommending any change in structure at this time. And I do have to say that $80 million in grants is not a bad thing. Page 48. We added an internal auditor, John Carter. And that position has already been included in the market analysis and is on the recommended increase. Then page 50 is your treasurer. We included the office manager requests that the court already approved, so that's included in the budget at this time. Then on page 59 is your volunteer fire departments. And we're recommending a 10% increase again, so we can get them further up. The fire chiefs developed the formula for how this distribution is made. And at first, we had 3 distinct categories, but part of it is what their goal has been to increase the base rate so that every department gets a certain amount of money before the formula kicks in.
Is this a 10 or 20% increase?
10.
Okay, good, I thought, misheard.
Right, 306 to 336.
I thought you said 20 and I'm looking at
No,
10 here.
no, it's
Okay,
not.
I got it.
Okay, and then the next one, page 82. And that's where we have added expenses for JP3. The new receptionist, which has it's included in the budget. It was already approved by the court as a position. And then on the next page, page 84, you have the same thing for JP4. Page 113 is your social services and your veterans services. The program is working well together, the consolidation. It's improved efficiency, having them in the same office, and improved services, and it's also created savings. They are moving forward with e-file and e-fax, which means we're not going through nearly as much paper. And then page 123 is your environmental enforcement, which really gets you to discussing options, so I'll leave that one flagged. Then you have on page 159 your hot funds. And these revenues are 35% of them go to the Polk County Chamber of Commerce, 30% to the Commerce Center, because both of those are tourism related, and then the county retains the remainder. And those monies are then given to like the Onalaska Fireworks. Anyone that does a tourism related activity can request those funds. Okay, the last one is page 185, which is the ARPA special fund. And for all practical purposes, those monies are completely gone. And the deadline from the federal government was December, so cleared out most of that. Okay, the budgeting, the aging department budget request, we are not including any additional staff at this time. We're still getting some support documentation, but there's no personnel recommendation at this time. And we will take another closer look at it as we proceed. Okay, before we go to the environmental enforcement officer, we do need to take a look at our tax rate calculations. So if you'll look at your information from Terry, that includes Tatum's information. So at this time, this was developed based on the voter approval rate. So if you wish to reduce that or increase it, we need to know.
Okay, why did we go from using 98% factor last year to 96% this year?
Because we are going to utilize the 98. That 96, it generates income for you. We were actually closer to 97 collection. So it just depends on how the court wishes to proceed.
I'm just
See, we've gone
asking.
from 96 to 98 to 96.
Yeah.
And so it kind of bounces around a little bit. But we're gonna bring that back to a 98.
And we could drop our tax rate to .00622, make the same money at 98%.
Yes, sir. Yep. So we will take a look at that. But part of it is that we do need to know, we need to make sure that we're not going to go over the voter approval rate.
Okay.
And
We're not
then-
gonna set the tax rate today. We're just gonna say we're not going over the voter approval rate.
You have to decide what the proposed rate is today.
Well, are we gonna use 96 or 98%?
The 96% was what was certified by the tax collector.
So that's what it's based on. And it bounces around.
I mean, why did it go to from 96 to 98 last year? And why is it going back? I mean, I'm just curious.
So, I think that's actually a typo on last year, it should have been 97%, right? It was 96. 96 was the actual collection rate, but 97 was what was going to be revenue.
I'm just asking, 'cause I never remembered it changing. It's always been 96%.
So it actually had gone higher, at one point. It was several years ago. What was presented by Leslie was more than 98%.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I see how my
We had
memory's
to
going.
adopt it with our debt collection rate at like 99% collection because the state requires that it be the lowest, the lowest over the last 3 years.
Yes.
Which you can accept for the debt collection.
So since 2023, it's been 96%.
Yes.
Could you repeat that?
Since 2023, it's been 96%.
Okay.
Collection.
I honestly think it was built at a higher collection rate last year, under the hope that we would get everything that we had budgeted last year built into the budget as a projection. If you look at where we're actually trending at this year and the collection rate, the 96% is more accurate.
so take a look. If you look at the first page, you can see the percentage of change with certified net taxable value is a little over 3%. Real is slightly under 5%, minus the freeze taxable value, which is at 9.67%. Then the real without the freeze, the personal, and the mineral. The mineral is trending down, which we all knew that was gonna happen. So if you look at 2025, your mineral values were right at 85 million. Okay, and they went down to 70, 56. And so the decrease has been right almost 20%. Then you look at your rolling rail stock, it stays pretty consistent. So the increase there is right under 2, and so then you have your net value for budgeting purposes, which is 1.94%. So 96% collection rate. And you have your tax liability. And your estimated tax liability on the new freeze value. And your delinquent tax ad valorem tax revenue. With utilizing the voter approval rate, which is why we did this, was because of the increase in salaries. Using your voter approval rate, then your debt service fund rate, and your current debt service taxes that are current, and then your delinquent. So the current debt service taxes are right around 3 million, and your debt service taxes for delinquent are 63. And you have the breakdown for the rates. So the rate, utilizing the voter approval rate, your debt service fund rate would be 0.05348. Your general fund rate would be 0.414317, and the road and bridge fund rate would be 0.1673. So that's an increase across the board for salaries. And so then you have on the second page, again, based on the voter approval rate, the 96% collection rate, you have your base funding for road and bridge, which is right under 10 million. And then the distribution based on percentages, which is your established distribution. For precinct 1, it would be 22%, which is slightly more than 2 million. Precinct 2, 23%, which again is slightly more than 2 million. Precinct 3 at 27%, basically 2.6 million. And precinct 4 at 28%, basically 2.7 million. So the total, including the target balance, reflects a $552,888.53 increase from the prior year for road and bridge.
Well, if I'm looking at this right, y'all can correct me. If we don't vote for this tax rate here, we're gonna have to go back through this budget and start cutting stuff.
Yes, sir. And your largest expenses tend to be personnel. Now, there are some positions in the market study that the court can send recommendations in terms of, do you want to make that position a two-step, a 2-year planned increase, or how do you wish to proceed? If we're going to proceed with the raises, then that funding needs to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Which means that it must come from the taxpayers. Mineral is going down, so you can't rely on that. The collection rate is what the collection rate is for budget estimates. Our debt service, we have our debt service pretty much as low as it will go. Of course, we've just added some debt, but nevertheless, we have a very sustainable debt service. You must pay your debt service first by statute, so you must pay that first. The next obligation that I feel like the court has is to personnel. The cost of personnel is not going to go down, which was part of why we discussed not adding too many people, because then that takes away from other people. But to fund personnel, then it must be a sustainable source of income, which until the state of Texas changes the way they do business, means property owners. Sales tax revenue, we do receive some sales tax revenue. That's also not a sustainable source. So yes, we do receive it, but it's not a sustainable source for funding personnel. So that's why the county, our size, is limited in what we can do. So this is based on the voter approval rate.
Voter approval rates points 0.0635125, is that right?
Sounds right.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
635125, yes, sir.
So it needs to be below that.
And so, what's that?
Needs to be below that.
Well, we put we put it in at 0.6351.
Yeah.
So we put it in at slightly below. The calculations can go out for 6 digits. We try to limit that rate to 4 digits. Now keep in mind also that we did implement our homestead exemption, and our homestead exemption is, we're leaving it alone. Unless we're told otherwise, right? In previous meetings, y'all expressed an interest to maintain the homestead exemption that we had provided to residents, to stay with the 250% retirement match, right? To stay with providing insurance for all of our employees, which was to the tune of over $13,000 a person. I mean, we had a significant increase in insurance. And so you've got to keep all of that in mind. We're not just talking about increase in pay, which we do need to do, but we're also talking about increases in retirement, increases in insurance, increases in benefits across the board. You can't take that big of a hit on insurance and not feel it.
Yeah. Well, I'll make a motion that we have set the tax rate at 0.0063.
Okay, take off the 5-1. Okay.
And that's coming up on 0.5986.
But if you look at these.
Yes, sir.
Look at these damn budget numbers.
Yeah, there's
Our
no,
budget's increased a bunch
yes, sir, it has.
last year.
Okay, so I have a motion for the tax rate to go to 0.6300. Commissioner Purvis,
I'll second his motion.
second, Commissioner Dubose. Okay, this also requires a vote. Okay, precinct 1, Eileen?
Yeah.
Yes? Precinct 2,
Yes.
Commissioner Dubose, yes? Precinct 3,
Yes.
Commissioner Purvis is a yes. Precinct 4,
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy is a yes. Okay, so all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so this current budget does not include the recycling operations. You received several options on how you wish to proceed with that. We do not have to make a decision about exactly what that's going to look like at this point in time. But you do need to have a discussion about it. Carrie, do you have information for him?
She sent us a bunch. I hadn't read through it completely yet.
I apologize. I know I gave you guys a very large packet.
No, we appreciate everything you're going through to try to keep this, so no, don't worry about that.
Thank you. So the packet that I gave you, like this, it's 26 pages. It does go into a lot of detail that we don't need to cover today. If you flip to page 22, start the table at the top. This is a comparison of the options that, so just so you can look at them all side by side. Prepared 3 different levels of service for this. Option A. Oh,
Page what?
page 22.
There you go.
I'm sharing mine with you all. No.
Yeah.
Here it is, it's in the back of my book.
Ah, there you go. It's in the back. It's in the book, Darlene, in the back of the book.
It's in the very back.
Sorry, the agenda book.
It's inside my book. Yep.
Okay, so, there's options A, B, and C. Option A places the program under a department head who owns the program. I mean, it would be in the environmental office.
22.
All of these options places it within the environmental office, but in option A, it creates essentially a program manager, which is the most equivalent to what PCRB has now with their director of operations. They would be responsible for the administration, the processing, grants, education, supervision, growth of the program, everything. They would be fully responsible for this program. And to assist them, there would be 1 part-time recycling attendant that would, make sure that there's always somebody on site during the assisted operation hours, which this sets up for Tuesday through Saturday from 12 to 5. It's ideal to have a system that's open for a county-led recycling program to be open whenever the trash collection station is open, because that's when people are going to be going by there and using it. I know in the past there have been a lot of people that have not been able to recycle with us because they just can't ever make it there at the time that the nonprofit has it open. So this sets a consistent schedule that is the same as what the collection station is, but a portion of that can be unattended. So if you have somebody out there working every day from noon to 5, if things get dropped off between 7 and noon, there would be cages, there would be things outside for them to drop off their materials, and then that could get processed when the attendant comes in. So option A, like I said, it really sets the program up the best for success. At the same time, it might be more than what the court can afford right now, or more support than we have for it. It would have approximately $73,400 in wages, and again, that is for 1 full-time and 1 part-time person. Total year costs $119,000, with recurring costs at $110,000. If that is more than what y'all were considering this year, what we had really talked about was doing what's under option B, which is having somebody within the environmental office that is not program manager, program coordinator. So they would be sharing the administrative workload with the office manager that's in the environmental department. So recruiting volunteers, working on education, grants for the recycling or collection events. That would be a dual role effort. And then that person would also be responsible for processing all of the material that comes into the recycling center. To make that option work, I think that it would be a self-service option only. So people wouldn't be dropping off and having that assistance in unloading their materials. There would just have to be enough signage and cages and things out there that people can know what they can put and put it in the right spot.
That's option B.
That's option B.
Unless you have the volunteers helping.
You could still have volunteers, and I mean, that's not to say that there wouldn't be any
So
assistance.
this would be a part-time employee?
Option B is a full-time employee, but they're only at the center from like noon to 5 or so. They would be doing office duties in the morning. Because it's set up, the collection station out there is set up for Tuesday through Saturday. It can be flexible, however the court wants to do it. You could have the person that's working that position be a Monday through Friday, and everything on Saturday is just either with volunteers or self-service. Or you can have it Tuesday through Saturday, and you know, they get their office stuff done in the morning, Tuesday through Friday, and then they're at the center Tuesday through Saturday. But the only issue that I see is if you don't have enough, if you can't always rely on volunteers or community service or whatever, you can't commit to always having 2 people there and having that assisted drop off all the time. You can make it work as often as it's feasible to do so, but generally set it up to where it's self-service and you know, it's just assisted when that works out. Option C, the third option, is it would keep the program going with just a part-time employee. So that person would not have any of the administrative duties. That would all fall on to the office manager in the environmental office. And there wouldn't be anyone taking ownership of that program. So yes, it would still manage to continue, be able to continue recycling for the county, but it's not set up as best for success as the other ones. So that is in a nutshell what is in the packet. I did try to go into detail as much as possible so that whoever does take over the program is set up for success, knowing what's going to be required. You know, you are going to want to focus on educating the community on whatever grants, making sure that we have those collection, like tire collection events, large item collection events. Eventually, household hazardous waste is something that would be very beneficial for the county. And you can do that with any one of these options. It's just as option A and option B has someone that is primarily responsible for overseeing those things, whereas option C is what we have now, which is piecemeal different offices coming together to make that happen. And so far that hasn't happened as frequently as we would like, so.
Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all you've done.
I do think that option B is very feasible this year in the budget, so.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay, Commissioner.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
On Thursday, on. Any opposed? Oh. The TRA information.
This is what?
There's the TRA information, which we're not gonna change.